Hello my friends.
Welcome all guests of the fair.
Today we have prepared a list of the best decks for each class, as well as determined how much gold you've lost due to the removal of receiving gold per 3 victories. We will also discuss the impact of the recent rewards track patch.
Your support is extremely important to us. We would be infinitely grateful to you if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Recent trends show that players are gradually abandoning new cards and archetypes, and returning to using old decks, as some of them are still the best. This means that the new cards have not yet reached their potential.
Warlock received the best legendary card in the new expansion, which has become the basis for a new version of the control archetype. Other strategies are still too weak. The deck is incredibly expensive. It contains 4 legendary cards and 8 epic cards, but your win rate for such a high cost is only 52%. In 9th place is Rogue. New decks for the Rogue seem too weak. The best choice for you right now is Secret Rogue, but the deck has hardly changed since the release of the new expansion. The only new cards used are Swindle and Foxy Fraud.
Next on the list is Priest. The only effective archetype is Big Priest. This is another very expensive control deck that is made up of almost 30% new cards, but despite this, the deck does not look like something new. Rather, it is the reincarnation of old strategies and mechanics.
In 7th place is Guardian Druid. This deck has received a significant upgrade thanks to new cards. The old gods, Carnival Clown and Strongman made the deck more fresh and interesting. However, these upgrades are not cheap. Your win rate with this deck will be over 57%. In 6th place is Bomb Warrior. Darkmoon Faire had absolutely no impact on this deck. This archetype remains very effective, and is one of the most popular as well. If you've invested your resources in this strategy in the past, then you've definitely made the right choice.
In 5th place is Secret Mage. This is not the first attempt to resurrect the main mage archetype from wild mode to standard, but this time, the attempt has been successful. The strong support for secret synergies in the new expansion has done the job. Secret Mage has turned out to be one of the only effective mage archetypes at the moment. In addition, the new cards even managed to slightly change Secret Mage in wild mode.
The Totem and Evolve archetypes are in competition for the title of the best Shaman deck. But Totem Shaman still has a slight edge. The deck received a small but very important upgrade in the new expansion. This was enough to become one of the best decks in the current meta game. In 3rd place is Paladin. Without exaggeration, the Paladin is the best class in standard mode. All archetypes are extremely effective, but pure Paladin is still the best. The deck does an excellent job without using tools from the new expansion. In 2nd place is Aggro Demon Hunter. The deck became even more dangerous after the Darkmoon Faire expansion. While aggro decks are rarely interesting, they are extremely effective. Another advantage of Aggro Demon Hunter is its low cost. You only need 2 epic cards.
And finally, Face Hunter comes in first. This is another aggressive deck on our list, and another deck that doesn't use new cards. The class is one of the most effective in the game.
Your list looks too boring. Among the best decks, there are no fundamentally new strategies. You only showed a few reincarnations of old mechanics, a few archetypes that have received an upgrade, and old decks that have not changed at all.
Dora, we hope that the situation will change and new decks and archetypes will be able to take a more significant place in the meta game. The first week of the new expansion has brought too few significant changes for the most effective decks.
Guys, I think you overestimate the importance of effective decks. After changing the progress system, your number of victories does not matter. We can have fun using any deck, even with a 0% win rate, and we won't lose anything.
You're right, but being successful in ranked play is more important than ever before, as it gives you the opportunity to receive the latest packs as a reward. Do not forget that the packs will be of particular value after the release of the mini set.
Okay, I'll pretend you convinced me. I want to know how much gold I lose every hour using the most effective decks.
To answer your question, we must first define a new rewards value for completing quests after the update of rewards track. So, we lost the last 6 packs and got 1350 gold instead. In the new rewards track patch, the amount of gold has increased to 5,550 coins. In addition to this, you should potentially reach level 57. This means you conquer 7 bonus levels, thus you will get an additional 1050 gold. So, the new amount of gold for completing quests will be 6,600.
Yes, you still receive 300 to 500 less gold for completing quests compared to the Ashes of Outland expansion phase, but your profit will be much higher if your goal is to collect a collection of cards.
Yes, for some arena players who don't need cards at all, the loss of even 300 to 500 gold coins from quests is still painful. XP per hour can compensate for the loss of gold and potentially give even more. Arena players in the past did not receive gold for 3 victories at all, and now they at least get something. Thus, the situation for arena players has improved slightly.
However, you cannot immediately spend gold from completing quests right away. You now have to wait several days.
You still take into account the rewards that should have been free. This fact completely discredits your math.
We believe that the first legendary card and the first 3 current packs are not free gifts. We know that communities are pushing to disregard these awards when calculating the total value of awards, but we cannot ignore their value as they are now part of the rewards track.
In my opinion, Blizzard just left us without a gift for logging in at this time. But even if you think that the first rewards in rewards track are not worth considering, you will still receive more for completing quests than before. This fact cannot be ignored.
The awards update has had an impact on the economy as a whole. Now, for the same amount of experience, you get more advantages. Therefore, the amount of gold you get per hour of play has also increased. Your profit for 1 hour of playing in ranked games will be equivalent to more than 15 coins. Of course, this is only if you are actually getting 400 XP per hour.
But there are a huge number of posts on Reddit that XP per hour is 300, 200 and even 100 XP points.
Unfortunately, Blizzard still did not provide official comments on this topic. Analyzing my statistics, I came to the conclusion that 400 XP per hour is a presumably reliable indicator.
Now let's compare the profits from the decks we talked about today. Big Priest and Control Warlock benefited the most from the new reward system. Before the changes they received 11 coins per hour. Now they earn on average 4 more coins per hour. The profits of Bomb Warrior and Secret Rogue have also increased slightly, but the other 6 decks get less than before.
Aggro Demon Hunter and Face Hunter suffered the most. Before the changes they received 22 coins per hour. Now they are losing 7 coins every hour. The losses of aggro players in wild mode are even more significant. But the biggest damage was suffered by players who farmed gold in casual modes.
We want to draw your attention to an important nuance. We've used the best decks from the best standard archetypes for this review, but most players prefer other versions of decks that have a lower win rate. This means that for some of the players the losses will be less dramatic, while for other players the advantages will be much more significant.
The amount of gold per hour is still not fair enough.
In our opinion, Blizzard should have allowed control decks to generate profits that are no less than the profits of aggro decks. However, Blizzard made a different decision. The developers averaged the profits of all archetypes in the game, causing irreparable damage to aggro decks and even some mid-range decks.
Thus, players who have used exclusively effective aggro decks in the past receive too little gold per hour after the changes. This is definitely not fair.
But at the same time, according to preliminary calculations, the overwhelming majority of players are able to get more resources thanks to the new system.
Blizzard is obliged to correct the situation. In addition, they must publish the indicators of the amount of XP per hour for each mode in order to stop any manipulations. But the developers continue to ignore these problems.
Besides, we don't know anything about the mini-set, and it still remains the main threat to players.
The war of the players against Blizzard continues. Bloggers and streamers cynically exploit this situation and provoke huge hype. The demands are becoming more absurd and overtly populist. The noble struggle for justice turned into hysteria, misinformation, accusations and a desire to destroy the game. The rewards track is terrible and has absolutely no benefits. Do you really need facts or calculations? Math is too boring. Find facts on Reddit. Remember the main thing. Hearthstone has become incredibly expensive and the developers are greedy liars. Do you disagree? If so, you are the enemy. Players are no longer struggling to keep their profits in Hearthstone. Their main goal is to significantly increase the amount of resources, reduce the cost of pre-orders, and sometimes even get everything for free.
We have always argued that the economy of the game is the main problem of Hearthstone. We made many videos on this topic, and even offered our own ideas. We talked about this when many streamers and YouTubers preferred to be silent. All of our conclusions have always been based on facts, calculations and statistics.
The rewards track is not perfect. It has significant flaws, but for the vast majority of players, even in its current form, the new system will be more useful. Unfortunately, amid protests, the main flaws of rewards track are getting too little attention, and this is the saddest thing about this situation. I find it incredibly important to inform players about the value of resources, make different calculations, and discuss specific shortcomings of the new system in order to make it useful for absolutely all players. But the popular players are too busy to make calculations and analyze the situation. A revolution can bring more benefits than mathematics.
We are infinitely grateful to our audience for such tangible support. We are a very small channel and we took a huge risk expressing a completely different opinion about the rewards track.
Finally, we want to ask you a question. What is your rewards track level? We have created a poll in our community tab. Please leave your vote, and also take part in other polls.
Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for being with us.
And special thanks to Chris for text editing.
We will meet in new videos.
Good luck.